It is, it like I was just telling you, it's like an hour outside of Houston, so humid as can be.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but it's still so beautiful to be out here, so quiet and peaceful. I love it.
Oh my gosh. I think that especially people in technology, I was talking with Matt Topper last week, and he does, well, he's a runner. And when he runs, let me, when he runs, he doesn't even wear earbuds. Like he wants no technology. And all I kept thinking is when I run, well, if I ran, um, I would be
Right?
so, I would be so bored like not having something going on, but he like completely unplugs. And that's what I envision like being at a ranch or something like that is like you can just get out and not hear cars, not hear anything but just nature.
Yep, exactly. All I hear is roosters in the morning that wake me up before my alarm does, and the mooing of the cows every once in a while. So it's pretty interesting, for sure, but absolutely beautiful in the sense of an open sky and you can see the stars at night. It definitely allows me some good quiet downtime where I can also sometimes disconnect without a choice because the internet out here is sometimes not that great.
No, I get that. I get that. Well, our topic today was, or is, because we're still here, is about, starting businesses, being an entrepreneur and all of that, but at the same time raising kids and not raising little kids, but when they get to be those lovely years that start about 12 now.
Oh gosh, yep. Uh-huh. Yep. Once you hit preteen, everything goes downhill.
Right. And, and it's kind of sad because I remember thinking how little my parents knew when I was that age. But then when your own kids like give you that same vibe, you just want to shake them.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's interesting because I have found that, and I have raised my kids at the same time that I have built businesses. And so I've been doing both in parallel. And I feel like raising kids, there's so many aspects that pull the two together. There's so many different comparisons, right? In the sense of, um, getting to the actual like stages of do I want to build a business and then deciding yes I do, right? That's the beginning. I say that like that is labor and delivery part because you are not even at the point of raising the thing yet. You're not raising the child yet. And then you go into building the business that is very much so like walking the path of now raising a child and then getting to teenage years in certain phases of growth in a business. You want to pull your hair out. You want to or put your head in the ground, right? Like there's so many aspects to that. It's the same way with raising kids and raising teenagers. And now I'm at a point where my oldest is 20 and we're stepping outside of the teenage phases, and I feel like being a parent to an adult child is even harder than being a parent to a teenager or the earlier stages because now you have no control whatsoever.
Yes.
That
No,
is like
totally.
the ultimate position of being at a CEO level of a company you've built, right? And now not necessarily being in the day to day, and you're just letting it play out, seeing how things go. And that is so scary when it comes to your kids and your business.
Well, the parallels between parenting and being a leader is like you set expectations and you give them the tools they need to succeed, but it all comes down to choice.
Yep,
And so if
exactly.
they choose not to follow expectations, not to follow processes, they can choose their happiness elsewhere as an employee, as Disney says. And, they may not fit. But what happens when those teens don't follow expectations? And, what's your take on that? Like what do you do then? You can't fire them.
Right. Oh yeah, these are non-fireable employees for sure. And it's interesting because I was having just last night, I was having a conversation with my 17-year-old son about curfew and why he needs to be home by a certain time and why that setting that expectation, setting that boundary, and why it's important, why it matters, and why it should be important to him, not just to me.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because at the end of the day, at 17 years old, almost an adult, I feel my job is the guidance aspect of it.
Mhm.
Beyond that, right, it's the consequences of your choices become the natural way that this is going to unfold. And so that's where, in explaining all of this to my son, I have to also explain what are the consequences
Yeah.
of you not following through these expectations that are being set for you. And trying to also at the same time have him understand why that is, not just because mom said so, but
Mhm.
because if I don't give you the consequences, life will. And they're going to probably be much worse than having that safety net of your parent being involved or being there for you. And so it is hard to get to that point, and ultimately speaking, realizing you got to let them make certain mistakes anyway,
Yeah.
and see how far they push.
When I was teaching, if I particularly had a difficult student who just refused to follow the rules and everything, and in those parent conferences, and I was teaching fifth grade at the time, I remember telling a parent that, like, and the child was in the room, I'm like, we're setting expectations for you to follow rules at school, and the consequences happen at school if you break the rules, and you know what the consequences are. So it's truly your choice. And to the parent, I say, if they don't follow rules now, with us, um, I guess, giving them the consequences. As an adult, if they don't follow the rules, the police will give them consequences,
Mhm.
or life will give them consequences, as you said. And when you put it in perspective like that, it's like, oh, like it's just so much easier to follow the rules.
It is, but we're human, and sometimes we don't follow the rules, and we tend to drift or fall back or things like that. And I always tell my kids, at the end of the day, you have to come back to your compass. What is it that has that gravity in you to
Mhm.
come back to what you know is right? Whether there's always going to be influences outside of your control, and it is up to you whether you allow those influences to take you outside of what you know to be right or true versus others, right? And so it at the no matter how it breaks down, it is your life, and you are the one that's going to pay for those consequences in one way or another.
Well,
And that's
and also, I think we need to think about consequences. Is there's good ones too.
right.
You
Exactly.
put in the hard work, you get the good grade, or you close the deal. As you get older, it's a financial reward. It could be a consequence. It's like consequences aren't always bad. I also think it's really huge to let your kids see failures and how you respond to them. Is it like you're going to curl up in the gutter because something didn't go up your way? Or are you
Right.
going to be like, okay, what did I learn from this? What can I do differently next time?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I say adults have tantrums too. You know, we throw tantrums too. It's just a matter of how we go about it. And a lot of that is, understanding how you are managing your self, your emotions as well, how you're regulating yourself.
Mhm.
All of those things come into play, especially when you're talking about going out into the world
Yeah,
and being a productive um, person within our society. And that's something that I think also comes back to leadership and how we build businesses. When it comes to the employees that have been under my care, for me, it was always, how can I leave these individuals better than when I first met them, right? How can
yeah,
I guide them in certain ways in that way so that they can find success however they define it, whether that be directly working with me or outside of that. And it's something that I apply to my kids in the exact same way. It's, you
yeah,
know, at the end of the day, leadership is stewardship, and we are guides more than anything. We can only do so much in terms of how we teach and what we set in terms of expectations and certain things like that. But at some point, you gotta let them go and
yeah,
allow them to make their own choices.
yeah, and their own choices, their own mistakes, their own successes.
Yeah.
I did have a tier one tech working for me, and he came in my office and he had tears in his eyes. And he was like, I'm putting in my resignation. And I was like, okay, like, are you all right? And he goes, well, I got this offer and it was a great company to work. It was Southwest Airlines. And I was like, I'm so excited for you. And he was like, "But I'm quitting." And I'm like, "But this is a better opportunity. Like go." Like, as a leader, you have to encourage your employees that are in your care. I love how you said that because they are. But, like, to do what's right for them, in spite of the business you work for or, whatever it is, if it's bettering their life, like, go, kick them
Oh
out of
yeah.
the nest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And sometimes I say that's how you're meant to do it, right? Because if you are staying in a single place, a lot of the times you aren't growing, and so you've got to change your environment in order to continue to grow. And if that environment isn't changing at the same speed as you are,
Yeah.
absolutely, go find that next thing for you. And I always love being able to do that because you just never know when those relationships come back around and you get
Oh,
to
yeah.
work together in a different way. I've had that happen so many times in my career that I sometimes am like taken aback by how things boomerang, and
Yes.
now all of a sudden this person who was my employee is now a business partner of mine, or certain things like that. It is amazing how that happens, but as long as you allow people to naturally grow and find the correct alignment for them, especially where they're at in their life.
Oh, yeah, completely, and I just sometimes when they're ready to grow, you just don't have the position open.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have it yet, whether they want to go from tier 2 to 3 or whatever, you just don't have the seat yet, but they have the opportunity to go sit somewhere else, and I think that's really important. Um, I've been in the channel since 2014, and one of the coolest things I've seen is some of the, other channel people that I see, whether it's MSPs or vendors, are now bringing their teenage kids with them to events. And now I know that some of them have actually been hired, by
Yeah.
other vendors or something because they were able to walk up and shake somebody's hand and make eye contact and have a conversation. So I think that's cool to already see like that happening and see that growth.
Oh, I love when that happens. As I was saying, my kids have grown up alongside the businesses I've built being in the channel, and um, they have not taken an interest in the industry until recently when in September, I took my son to the first conference, and he was just completely taken aback by it all. And one of the first things that he said was, "Mom, everybody tends to know you." And I'm like, "Not everybody, but I've been in the channel for 20 years, more than half my life.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, I know quite a few people." And what he gathered out of that was the community aspect of it,
Mhm.
which I loved. And that's, it goes right back to say that the next generation is now coming up, in amongst our ranks, and it is just a joy to see them be involved and bring so much of their unique talent and what they have, the fresh perspectives that they're bringing
Yeah.
to the industry.
When I brought a younger channel member, I think she was 19, to her first event, she was like, "This is like a family reunion for you." And I'm like, "It really is, because the
It
community
is.
just embraces, is ready to help you, like all of that." So I think it's important. Well, we're at the 15-minute mark. This flies by.
It
Um,
does.
so, as challenging as it is to parent teens, and as challenging as it is to be an entrepreneur, is there anything that you can think of that gives balance to like what you're doing?
Yeah, I have to always go back to my purpose, whether that is within, the businesses that I'm involved in, whether it's through volunteer work or anything that I'm doing within the channel, or how I'm raising my kids. It always comes back to purpose, and I think that it's so important to be aware of what that is, define that, and then figure out what does that look like in my career, so that I can bring it all together. I'm very big into integrating all of your life into what that purpose is, and it's something that I also pass down to my kids in that sense of figure out what your purpose is, and then go from there, because
Yeah,
at the end of the day, your core purpose is going to propel you into all areas of your life. And so that's what I would say is a common theme for me, and finding balance through it all.
I think that's awesome. And I think that, like, for me, um, if they're not happy in their job, wherever it is, I don't care if they're working, at a home improvement store, at a coffee shop, whatever. If you are not happy, exit professionally, don't burn bridges, and just keep looking until you find what you are happy with. Like, I don't care if you go through 10 jobs in a year, just leave it well, think about what you learned from it, and just always improve yourself. I think it's a huge thing.
Oh yes, love that.
Well,
Love that.
Nancy, thank you so much for stopping by today. Good luck with channeling the the forces to help your kids get where they can be successful and contribute to the community and all of that. And I look forward to seeing you at the next event.
Thank you so much, Mary, for having me and the very thoughtful talk. And absolutely look forward to seeing you and hugging you in person.
Oh, thank you. And I may throw a tantrum tonight if the Stars don't win. I'm just saying.
Right? I'm with you. I'm with you.
All right. Take care.
You too.